All right, this is the penultimate nightmare. The calm before the... What happens before a nightmare?
It's a penultimate Halloween one.
Yeah,
I would say.
Great.
You know what I was thinking about the other day?
What were you thinking about the other day, Nick?
We've been doing this for, like a year and a half, maybe?
Something like that.
How is this our third Halloween stretch?
I'm glad you asked. Because we did a thing where for a while we were doing these for funsies. And through Halloween, we did all the Halloween ones. And then it was
right.
like Halloween night to my birthday, November 2nd, that I spent like 3 days just holed up like, I think I could edit all 9 of these movies and get the website built and figure out how to have these hosted. Yeah.
That's right.
So, everything went live on my birthday. So then next year, Friday the 13th, and then next year.
Yeah, we technically did it earlier. So
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, that tracks.
Yeah. But anyway, so this time around, I think we've already talked about this a little bit. I kind of dread what's coming up because, like, I just... In my heart of hearts, there's no way that Nightmare on Elm Street is going to be as fun to binge as Halloween or Friday the 13th. I think we did the fun ones first, is all I'm trying to say.
Hey, that's what I thought about Friday the 13th. I was not looking forward to Friday the 13th.
I'm really not looking forward to this.
I loved every second of it, so I'm optimistic.
Optimistic? God. Well, before that, we got to slog through these two. Would you like to talk about them in the order we watched them in?
Yeah, absolutely. The theme song real quick right here.
And then, now that we're back from the theme song that happened right there, this is our like puberty stage episode.
Yes.
These
are movies.
This is our Boys to Men episode.
Yeah.
The transition from boys to men.
These are, I'd argue to say, I mean, speaking for myself at least, first movie I saw.
That got you bricked.
In my pubescence, that I was just like, oh, damn, movies are actually cool.
Yeah. It was like this weird like Netflix soup of like my dad took me out of school to see Drive or whatever, and then Donnie Darko, and then like Netflix for some reason I was just immediately bricked, and I was like, I'm gonna watch the original Dracula. And I gotta say, the first time I saw it, I hated that so much, which is crazy because nowadays, I mean, even like the last time that we watched it, like, you know, I always say that like, oh, Frankenstein's my favorite, and that's true. It's a very compelling story to me. Mm-hmm. But every time I watch the OG Kush Dracula, I just have more and more respect for it every time. Again, like, there's just like...
You ever seen the Spanish one yet?
No, but... Oh, that'd be a fun theme for the year. Because like I said, I proposed that, maybe we, for the sake of not blazing through all of the horror franchises, honestly, we knocked the big 3 out first. Which kind of fucked.
We did, yeah.
But if we want to pause and maybe next year not do Texas Chainsaw Massacre or Child's Play or something like that, we could do more of a theme thing. Like, we could do one where it's just a bunch of Golden Age horror movies like that. We could...
Did you hear
watch the Spanish one? Because we've already talked about the original one. Man, why am I so burpy?
I saw this on an Instagram post and did no other research, so I don't know how true this is. Did you hear anything about Guillermo del Toro starting up the Universal Monsters again?
I've heard that before. I know he's a fan.
That's very exciting to me.
Yeah, it could be very exciting.
I
think they could work. I think the thing that's interesting to me about the Universal movies as they existed then is I don't even think they were scary then.
Okay.
I think they were pretty much dramas. And I want to say that in my opinion, you kind of got to approach it, like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think he probably would. I think it would.
My mother's calling me. Sorry.
Okay.
So I'm just going to, I guess, take that. Hey, Mom, I'm doing my podcast.
Oh, did you see my pictures?
Yeah, your front yard Halloween decorations look great. You did that all with spray paint?
Yes.
Wow. Beautiful, Mom.
I put this.
Yeah, it's amazing. Very impressive.
All right. Yay. Thank you.
Yeah. All right, I love you, Mom. We'll talk more later.
Love you.
Okay, bye-bye. Love you too. They're really good. They're actually pretty good. Do you want to see what my mom called me about?
Sure.
Okay, well, here's the unpainted.
Okay.
And then with spray paint, she turned it into that.
That's pretty good. That's
pretty
not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. Anyways.
I just found out, while you were talking to your mom, just found out 2 insane things about Guillermo del Toro.
Sure.
His last name is Gomez.
Nice.
His name is Guillermo del Toro Gomez, which is fun.
Yeah.
And then in questions related to your search, the little Google dropdown.
Yeah.
It says, why did Guillermo del Toro go into exile? So I clicked on that. After he was given a $30 million budget for his film Mimic, he gained a lot of notoriety in his original country, Mexico, and his father was kidnapped and held for ransom. Since then, del Toro has exiled himself from Mexico and has continued his career in the United States.
Mamma mia.
I did not know that.
Well, none of that has anything to do with the movies we watched this week.
My condolences to the del Toro or Gomez family.
Not the only person I wish to send my condolences to, but we'll move on from that. David Fincher made a little movie called Fight Club. He also made a movie called Seven. I didn't like Seven that much. Fight Club, that's a staple. I mean, this is a movie I've seen a million times. But unlike you, I never, loved it.
Yeah.
But I've watched it a million fucking times.
Yeah, this was...
You know?
Yeah, absolutely. I get it. Yeah.
Not in Happy Gilmore. No disrespect to Happy Gilmore, but I'm just saying that vein of yeah, I've seen Billy Madison a million times. I've seen it a bunch, but yeah, it was never my thing. I read the book too because you had the book, and I read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Book's wild.
Buck wild. Anyways.
Yeah, I remember
because this was that TV that I have in my bedroom and the Blu-ray player that I have out here.
Yeah.
Right when I was getting bricked about cinema, I had a job for the first time, and my grandfather was like, I have a Best Buy credit card, and we can get you a TV and a DVD player, well, not a DVD player, a Blu-ray player, on my credit card, and then you just pay me every month out of your check that you make, or whatever. And I was like, great, Grandpa. I never made a payment.
Yeah, that's how it goes, yeah.
And he died with that debt, which, on his deathbed, he was like, and don't worry about it. I was like, oh, it was 6 years ago. I wasn't really sweating it, but...
You were absolved.
I do feel absolved.
Thanks, I did that myself.
Yeah. No, it was very touching, and I did feel a little guilt and shame because on his deathbed he made a point of mentioning, that $600 that you owe me, just forget about it, buddy. So that was a little shameful, but
that's fun.
But one of the first Blu-rays I bought was Fight Club. Like
Yeah.
I said, it's always been around, and I've always, But anyways,
Do you remember the first time you saw it?
no,
Oh.
no. Just probably when I bought that Blu-ray,
Oh,
maybe.
that's fun.
That's probably 12.
Yeah.
Yeah. You remember, I'm assuming.
I do. I absolutely do, yeah.
Yeah.
How old was I? I want to say 9th, 10th grade, something like that. I had just heard about Fight Club from probably my sister's boyfriend.
Nice.
Which isn't that always how it goes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. And I heard the old wives' tale of, I went to Best Buy and asked if they had Fight Club, and the guy wouldn't tell me because I broke the first 2 rules of Fight Club. And I was like, well, that's funny. I want to know what that's about. And
that definitely sounds like some shit that could only happen before now.
Before what's the word I'm looking for?
The internet?
Just a constant internet for everybody. Yeah.
Like when I was a kid, I'd put that right next to me actually genuinely for a little while thinking, and kids at my school also thinking the Blair Witch was a real thing that happened.
Yeah. But I was hanging out with my friends Tyler and Brandon. Shout out to Tyler and Brandon. I said something about Fight Club and how I wanted to see it. Brandon had seen it already and was like, oh yeah, it's pretty good. And Tyler was like, yeah, I'm interested. I'd like to see it. And so I remember Tyler's mom drove us to 4 or 5 different places trying to find Fight Club.
Yeah.
Went to I think a Blockbuster and then Hollywood Video, and we just went to a bunch of different rental places. I can't even remember where we ended up finding it, but we did. Tyler's basement, I remember being kind of small. And so there wasn't a place for me to sit. So I sat down on the floor, crisscross applesauce, hands in my lap. I was like, whatever. When I get comfortable, I'll get it super uncomfortable. I'll move or I'll lay down or whatever. And I didn't.
Yeah.
That's what, toward the end of the movie, I realized that. And I was like, oh, I'm really, really into this movie.
Yeah.
I can't remember if I told you on the show or not, but I feel that way about every David Fincher movie.
Yeah.
At some point, I'll go, oh,
We
damn,
talked
I'm
about that.
really invested in this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it just like you said, just the first time I got bricked up by a movie, it just of course it did, because I was a 14-year-old boy. Fight Club blew my mind. Brandon spoiled the ending of it 15 minutes before the twist
Perfect
comes.
time to spoil it. Yeah.
And I didn't even care. And I was just like, geez. And then I think I very quickly after that, when like bought the Blu-ray at Best Buy just like you did.
Sure.
And then just devoured this movie. Just like watched it over and over and over again, and watched it with the commentary. I watched it with the other commentary, and just found every interview and yada yada and this and that I could about it. And I have seen this movie so many times that it is unfortunate. I thought about it when we watched it the other day, and I thought about it the time before that I had seen it. The part of my brain that gets enjoyment from Fight Club is just smoothed over. Like, I just can't, like, it just passes straight through me. Mm-hmm. It's so strange because every picture I take or whatever shit I draw or anything I write, you can absolutely 100% trace it back to Fight Club.
Sure.
All the time, whenever I'm at, like, a party or a show or something like that, I'll be on my phone and I'll just free write in my notes app because it looks like I'm doing something, or I'm an interesting guy texting on his phone. My phones are dry as hell all the time, you know that. But I'll just free write on my phone. 9 out of 10 times, I'll look at it and I'll go, "No, this is just Fight Club. I gotta change this." But yes, it is disappointing that I have ruined this movie for myself. That I can't really enjoy it anymore. But I still do think it's a goodie.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, it's like one of those. It's like a song that's been played too many times, right?
Yeah.
You know.
Which I love.
Yeah.
Those, like. You know what fucking rips?
Huh?
Smells Like Teen Spirit. You know what rips? All the Small Things by Blink-182. Like, those are songs that I put on every now and then, and they have come back full circle where I can just go, damn, this is just a really good song, and I just can't. Like, we watched Fight Club the other day. I haven't seen it in probably 4 years, maybe. Yeah. And just, nothing. Just didn't do anything for me.
Well, a couple of things before we get going. The AV guy at my high school did not have an AV class. Just want to put that out there. He told me I had a real Edward Norton thing about me. Something behind the eyes. Some kind of deep something. You know, he's like, can't put it into words. But anyways.
You just look sad and soulless.
Yeah, exactly. Second, Brad Pitt's physique in this film. I mean, people are still talking about it to this day.
Oh, yeah.
And then when he comes back with the buzzed head.
So sick.
Man.
The chipped tooth, love it.
Man. Otherwise, yeah. The big spoiler is that Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are one and the same. The author was a gay man?
I think he still is.
Okay.
Yeah. Chuck Palahniuk?
Yeah. Because I know there's a lot of talk about it being a pretty homoerotic movie.
Not as much so as the book, but yeah, definitely is.
Yeah. Just dudes hanging out being guys, and a lot of talk, which is interesting because, like, I'm not trying to, like, psychoanalyze or, like, put anybody on a cross and fucking nail them and burn them or something. It's just, it is an interesting thing, like, you know, like, the movie does deal with, like, I've not watched a lot of discussion on Fight Club. This is just me spitballing it. Yeah. I know that I'm about to say the thing. Same thing.
Either,
yeah, the same thing that like 20,000 other white dudes with glasses said on the internet, whatever. But that is like a recurring motif with like gay media that I've seen, at least, is like mild animosity towards women.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And so you get that with like the whole thing about like, well, this is a generation raised by mothers. We're too feminine. We got to take back our masculinity, right?
Yeah.
It's just interesting, like that thin line between like hyper masculinity and like professional wrestling. Like in my experience, a lot of my gay friends love professional wrestling.
Yeah.
You know, Emily, even a friend of hers who's a gay man that she used to babysit with her growing up. Basically said it was, gay sex with clothes on or whatever.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck. Right. So, anyways, all I'm trying to say is that, like, yeah, that's something that like really became apparent this time I watched it, because like you, I probably haven't seen this since I was in like 4 or 5 years or whatever. But yeah, the whole time I was like, man, this is really a lot of like, let's get the ladies out of here and let's take our shirts off and punch each other up. I'm not saying like, I'm not being like, dude, this is a gay movie. I'm just saying like I could feel like the same way that people watch Point Break and they go like, this has got some homoerotic energy.
Yeah.
It was like that kind of a thing with Fight Club, where I was like, okay, just the boys hanging out shirtless in the basement, not a girl in sight. You know, like.
Yeah, I do. I love it, and I love the. I'm sorry, I'm not going to pick up on the
That's fine.
Continue your point if you had something else to go on.
No.
Sorry.
Just an observation.
Yeah,
no finer point to be made.
My observation and my biggest takeaway from it this time, I wrote it down because now as a man creeping up on 30.
You bought a MacBook. You have to.
I bought a MacBook.
It's a rite of passage. That's how you get into your 30s. Yeah.
But the line that got me the most this time around is, what kind of dinner set defines me?
Yeah.
Because I've done that so many times in the past year or two. I've just stood in a decor store and just looked at knives and plates and been like,
Yeah.
but these aren't me. Which ones would I want? So I found that very funny, and the movie's very funny. Like, I think this is, I can't remember who, but someone who worked on this movie, probably, I think David Fincher, says it's a black comedy, and I 100% agree with that.
Sure.
I think that tracks, because, like, at the beginning, when he meets Brad Pitt, and he's talking about everything he's saying is like, hey, capitalism, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
The things you own end up owning you, and it's like, yeah, you know what, man, we should probably start letting go of that stuff. And it's like, yeah, definitely. And we should start, just as men, beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
You lost me, but yeah.
you lost me, but I can see where you're coming from.
Yeah,
And then he's like, cool, let's just start blowing buildings up. And it's just like, oh, no, okay.
They're
no,
big leaps, yeah.
And
Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, I had a conversation with my dad where I was like, it's a little corny nowadays, like the messaging. And he's like, yeah, but he's like, that shit wasn't as like mainstream though when that came out as it is now.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff, like capitalism sucks, is just like how literally everybody who's not, over, 50 feels or whatever, other than like people who drive trucks or whatever. But like, if you're just a rational average person, you're kind of like, yeah, this shit sucks. Waking up at 6 a.m. to go do whatever and then paying fucking home insurance or whatever. Like, yeah, this is all kind of weird. But
and it's such a bummer, but it makes total sense that I'd say probably guys our generation and younger, most of the straight white guys who saw this movie or have seen this movie miss out on the what you were talking about, the gay undertones and stuff of it, and are just like, the point of Fight Club is that me and my friends should be beating the shit out of each other.
Yeah.
Like, I remember seeing like some, probably on G4 or something like that, some little documentary about like guys who like have started an actual Fight Club and like just beat the shit out of each other every week. It's like, oh, that's such a bummer. And like I remember when I was super into this movie and would talk to other guys about it, and like that was always kind of their takeaway from it, and I couldn't ever articulate it, and just being like, yeah, I don't think that's the point of this movie. I think they're the bad guys of this movie.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I mean, maybe there's something to be said there also about like the slippery slope of like how easy it is to become radicalized or whatever, yada. Or also even just like, there's probably something to be said for like how devoid of like meaning and purpose the average man's life is, that they would so like wholeheartedly and unquestioningly like devote themselves to something like this, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
You just want to belong. So it's like,
Absolutely,
let's start punching each other up. Oh, you want to start blowing up? Fuck it, dog. I don't got shit going on,
Yep. And I do love that, like, I guess you could see it happening to the guys that they recruit. Like, they just shed their old lives and then they're just in this house.
Yeah.
But I love that Edward Norton's character is at the beginning of this movie tied to nothing.
Yeah.
Maybe his job, but he doesn't have any family.
Yeah, no
he
friends.
He doesn't have any
hobbies.
friends. He doesn't even have a name. He's just devoid of everything.
Yeah.
And I don't know why this is the first time I noticed that watching this movie. It's like, oh yeah, no, this guy's just
They call him Driver. No, I will say this time I really liked Marla Singer.
Yeah.
A lot. Mm-hmm. That fucking line where he's trying to explain to her, like, hey, I don't know how to put it other than, like, I'm Tyler Durden or whatever, and I didn't know that until just now at the restaurant. Mm-hmm. And the guy comes up, the waiter comes up, and he's like, anything for you, sir, on the house. And she's like, she says something like, wait, no, why? Why is it? Why is it anything that he wants? Why is it on the house? And then, like, he just walks away to her. It's so funny.
Yeah, my favorite bit from her is just the first time you see her, just her walking in, smoking a cigarette, just like blowing it out, going, "Is this cancer?"
Yeah,
it's great. I love it.
Yeah, good.
What's your favorite scene of this movie?
That's a good question. My favorite scene in Fight Club. You might have to cut a fucking second out here.
That's why I asked you, because I can't think of mine. So
it might be cliche. And man, I gotta go top 3.
Okay.
But the first thing that comes to mind is honestly the I want to destroy something beautiful scene.
Mm-hmm.
One, can't stand Jared Leto. He just seems like the biggest sex criminalist.
Oh,
like
absolutely.
That's his resume is just, I am really good at sex crime. I don't know how many
yeah.
allegations are out there, but he just seems like the penultimate rapist.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why.
He's
I
just-
know I'm really shitting on a man who, like I said, I don't even know if he has allegations out there. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's up with the man.
I think he does.
But there's just
I think
something
he
about
does.
that that's really rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, he and like all the like behind the scenes stuff you hear about him, like on Morbius, he like had like used crutches behind the scenes so he could like get into character.
Yeah.
And
Did
it
he
was,
like jizz on stuff as
yeah,
the Joker?
as the Joker, he like set people like use condoms and like dead animals and shit like that. Just like
Which
hey,
doesn't seem on brand for gangster Joker.
yeah, and also act.
Yeah.
You could just act.
Yeah.
And he just seems like an asshole, and I just hate him. I just hate his guts.
But anyways, that's me being facetious. That's not really. But I do like that thing where it's like the one point in the movie where anything fucked up that like Tyler Durden, as in Brad Pitt, is doing, like is actually Edward Norton.
Yeah.
You know, there's no other scene where like Edward Norton does something just fucked.
Yeah.
And he literally just does it because he's in a bad mood, and it's like a really like the genuinely like awful thing. It's just such a like standout from the rest of the film because there's no other scene like that.
Yeah, that's like you're right. After Fight Club starts, I think that's probably the only scene where he's not like a passive observer to
Yeah.
what is happening in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Until he finds out.
The whole time he was doing all the fucked up stuff.
Yeah.
And then the other two that come to mind are the car crash scene.
Oh yeah, that one's great.
There's just something about the fire and or not the fire, the rain and the like the let go speech. And then the last one, I would probably what did I have in mind? I had a third one, but it has escaped me. It was Destroy Something Beautiful, the car scene, and it's gone. You get two. What do you got?
I do like the car crash scene. It's my favorite scene to watch and think about him being one guy.
Yeah.
And what the two guys in the back seat are thinking about while he's having this conversation with himself. And
Sure.
I'm like, oh, this is really, for lack of a better term, clever.
Yeah.
Just the way this conversation is written and the way the two guys in the back seat are responding to it. It works if two guys are talking, and it works if one guy is talking.
Yeah.
My favorite scene, I had one, and then I had a better one, and then you went, and I forgot. So, I'll say it. First one is, it's not even a scene. It's just like a little beat in a scene where, like, I think it's when, like, it shows, like, everybody, like, you know, they got the magnets erasing all the movies, and they're, like, putting up the fake billboards and stuff like that. I love the little bit where it's Brad Pitt and Edward Norton walking with baseball bats, just smashing in the headlights of cars while you're having a little chit-chat. Fuck, what was my other one?
Is it the gun into the back of the head thing?
No.
Okay. All right. This is something I'd like to start asking each podcast, even movies you like. What's your least favorite scene in Fight Club?
My least favorite scene in Fight Club?
Yeah.
Probably...
It's a toughie.
It is, because I remember watching it the other day, just being like, this scene doesn't need to be in this movie. Like, this just feels like a waste of time.
Sure.
And I can't remember what I was thinking about. What's yours?
I didn't really have one locked and ready to give.
Fuck.
Oh, I just remembered another one of my faves, though, is definitely when they're fighting outside of the van with the bomb juice in it.
Uh-huh.
And he's just like, bro, do not fire a gun near the liquid bomb juice. But back to bad. I don't think I can pinpoint any one scene, really. But I will just say that, yeah, like I said, I think maybe I'll point more to, like, just the thing that maybe has aged a little bit is just, like I said, it is a little, like, we're living in a society. It's like Joker pilled a little bit, where it's just like, all right. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
you know, it's, I think we've nuanced past Fight Club with the same sentiment and the same ideas, but just, like, you know, taking it a little bit, you know, farther than where Fight Club, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah. Not to say, like, derogatorily that it's, like, shallow or anything like that. It's just that, like, obviously it's been, like, 20 years.
Oh,
So,
yeah,
of
it's been
course,
done to death, yeah.
discourse is a little bit advanced past this is the only thing.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I don't think I can point to any one scene, but if you in mind, the listener, can think of a scene that really encapsulates, like, you know, maybe just our main character, Mr. Edward Norton or Tyler Durden, just being like, oh, you fucking khaki pants wearing, the check comes in the mail every 2 weeks having, you know, it's just, yeah. Probably beat ass in 98, but nowadays it's like, hey,
Yeah.
those jobs don't even pay enough for these people to be comfortable and docile like you're being mad at them for being, you know.
Yeah. Actually, I think this movie did dog shit when it came out. I think nobody went and saw it.
Yeah.
It's a big DVD movie.
Do you have a bad in mind?
I don't. I think...
Can you like surmise the bit that made you cringe, I guess, if there were any? That's my
just...
goal with this segment of the thing is like even a movie that I love, like just to be like, you know, there's like this one element that's just like every time that pops up, I'm just like, look, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I feel like even movies I love has like a thing where I'm like, but every time that one character does this thing or whatever it is, I'm like, yeah, that's a little weird.
I think the one that like,
I think best and worst is a good thing to add to the show for
absolutely.
sure.
I think the scene that works the least for me now, is probably the gun to the back of the head, the Ray McKay scene.
Yeah,
because
I still think I like that a bit.
I like it. It's still,
but it is pretty edgy.
It's pretty edgy, and that's why I don't like it.
Yeah,
Brad Pitt.
I feel the same way kind of about the like they're like, hey buddy, to the I love it and I hate it, but the like we got you by the balls. We're your mailmen. We'll cut these bitches off.
Yeah,
it's similar energy.
Very much so. But I think
like,
in both of those scenes, it's a cheat code that they have Brad Pitt doing it because he's like
he can make anything.
He can make anything great. Like when he's like, oh, do you have is this a basement apartment? He's like, yeah. How'd you know? He goes, no, they give shitty basement apartments to numbers instead of letters.
Yeah.
And just shit like that.
Is that true? I don't know. Well, Brad Pitt said it. I believe it.
Exactly. But like, yeah, when he runs away, he's like, tomorrow Ray McKay Hustle's breakfast will taste better than any meal you and I have ever had. Just think about that for 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Absolutely not. This man will be horrified for the rest of his life.
Yeah. He's not going to enjoy anything anymore because he thinks some man's going to come back with a gun and kill him.
Yeah. Being a vet is too much school. It's too much school. I guarantee you if Ray McKay Hustle wanted to be a veterinarian and could have been, he wouldn't be at this gas station, man.
100%, yeah. Anything else you want to touch upon? With Fight Club? There were any other notes you had? I will say that opening... That reminds me a lot of the X-Men opening.
Yes, absolutely.
I think also, I don't really know the timelines. I don't really know the timelines much, but I would reckon Bryan Singer, whatever the fuck, the guy who did X-Men.
Yeah.
I would reckon he loved Fight Club.
Oh, I think these came out in the same year.
Yeah. All I'm saying is, like, he had to be familiar with David Finch's work.
Oh, for sure.
And had to be a fan, for sure.
Absolutely.
David Fincher. I think I said Finch. But anyways.
I think my favorite scene, now that I think about it, is when you're getting introduced to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And you're just seeing him at all of his jobs. And Edward Norton is like turning and looking at the camera. Like I love when it's him as a waiter and it like scans by or pans by that table of people eating that Brad Pitt is serving food to, and Edward Norton turns around because he's just eating with them.
Yeah.
And he turns around, looks at the camera, and goes, Tyler Durden, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's so funny to me, and I love that none of the rest of the movie is a looking down the barrel of the camera, talking to you, letting you know what's going on. Yeah. Except for that one part. It's great.
Remind me of two things. One, I'll give you my least favorite scene, when he's pissing in the soup. Too far.
But
pissing and coming in the soup and stuff. It's too much.
He jizzes in the soup.
Yeah, that's too much.
It's too much.
He pushed it too far. Blow up the banks for sure. But don't jizz in the rich people's soup. There's
a bit in the book that I like that for sure it would take too much time up of the movie. There's a scene where he's just being a waiter and at some fancy house party for some very rich people, and the lady of the house is losing her mind upstairs because she found a note with all of her very expensive perfume, a note in there that says, "I pissed in one of these." And she, like, went and started dumping them down the toilet and, like, slipped and fell in it and cut her hands all up. And it's just stinging because it's full of perfume. And she's just crying. And she's like, how can I trust anyone who's in this house? Any of our so-called friends? And just losing her mind. And Tyler Durden's like, oh, yeah, no, I did that. And every waiter's like, how could you piss in one of those? He goes, I didn't. I just left a note. I love that. More of that.
Yeah, that's what I would love. Yeah. I would love if they did that instead of legitimately pissing something. Yeah. Because, again, that's just gross. Like, I'm all for eat the rich. Mm-hmm. But don't make them eat cum and stuff. Like, that's too far. You know what I'm saying? When there's, like, a fine line with, like, we've talked about it on the show before, like, the whole, like, you killed my daughter, I want revenge. Don't come on them, though. You know what I'm saying? Kill him, sure, whatever. I'm not even going to get into whether or not I co-sign on that. I'm just saying, like, that's acceptable. But, you know, once you start pissing and coming, I'm out.
I would say it's too far.
Too much revenge.
I would say coming in the stuff is way too far.
Yeah.
I would say one step behind the line for me is pissing.
Really?
I think
Piss not that fun? Or not that bad? It's like just playful?
if you're pissing in the soup of the mega rich,
Yeah.
go for it. I don't
Wow.
care.
Okay. I gotta say, anti-piss. I'm going anti-piss.
And hey, I respect you for it.
Likewise. But the other thing is just, again, Marla Singer is like where I get most of my joy from this movie these days.
Yeah.
Just the whole thing where like she's just dumbfounded looking at him like, what do you mean get the fuck out of my house? You just railed me all night. And now you're acting like you're not the guy that just fucked me all night, you know? Yeah, the ringer that she goes through. Very fun arc.
I love how this movie looks. I said this already. It is literally very, very dark. Insane to watch the other night.
Yeah.
Where we had like all light on in the house. I just couldn't see anything. We turned it off. And I was like, okay, kind of make some stuff out now. A little like production designy thing I like. As I remember hearing them say that like Brad Pitt is always wearing some type of camouflage throughout the movie.
Okay.
He's either got like camo pants on or like there's one scene where he's got like a white button-up shirt on, but the pattern on the shirt is a bunch of like fall leaves.
Okay.
And I love that whenever he's in the kitchen, he's wearing that robe with the mugs all over it.
Yeah.
I think that's very clever. I like it quite a bit.
Yeah. Well, in summation, what would you give Fight Club?
Dude, I don't know.
It's
a
a rough one. I think
know.
the safest place I can set it is like the B range.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna give it a B. I think a solid B.
I mean, I think, like I said, there's nothing I really adamantly dislike about it other than the edginess of it hasn't aged well.
Sure.
But, like, everything we watch that's older than 20 years, it's like, okay, well, you kind of have to have the mindset of 1999 while you watch
Sure.
it. And so there's nothing...
Yeah, I think of this movie like The Matrix, almost.
Exactly.
It's like one of those things where it's like, you know.
It's green.
Yeah.
I don't... Yeah, adamantly...
But it's just like that edgy thing of like, plugging in, man. This is what
yeah,
online
yeah.
is going to be in the future. We're going to be so online, the real world's going to fucking suck.
But I also feel like Fight Club, part of it is all the edgy stuff is the movie going, look how dumb these fucking guys are, you know?
Yeah.
But like I said, just that part of my brain is smoothed over, and I don't get any enjoyment out of Fight Club because I've seen it so many times in my youth that I can't. I don't think I can accurately give it a grade.
Well, go for it. Just try.
I mean, I would
Give it your best swing.
I'd give it an A+ because, like
There
I
you
said,
go.
there's nothing I don't like about it.
Perfect.
But also, I can't.
A+.
Like
Too
anything
late.
about it.
You get an A+.
Okay.
Wow, look at that. We finally accomplished Fight Club. Would you consider that like a milestone as far as you're concerned with the podcast? Do you have any milestones you're trying to achieve with the podcast?
No,
Nothing, no?
The only milestone I have is to eventually one day do another 100 movies list.
Yeah.
So I can make. I would like for us to watch enough movies that I can accurately make one that doesn't have the same movie on it 3 times on accident and every Quentin Tarantino movie on it.
Yeah, well, we could be there. I mean, we're 87 episodes deep, which means bare minimum we watched over 160 movies for this thing.
I'd like to keep going a little bit.
Okay. Well, we do have a 100th episode coming up in like 26 weeks or something.
That's like half a year.
Yeah, exactly. It's plenty of time.
Crazy.
Uh-huh.
Anywho, we watched Donnie Darko.
We did, which you have no history with because you've never seen it.
I had seen it once.
Oh, okay.
I watched it on Comcast On Demand.
Classic.
A weird, like,
Beautiful.
blue menu.
Love
yeah.
the blue menu. That's how I watched a lot of like Child's Play for the first time and like shit like that because they always had like free and then they had free, on demand like horror or whatever, and I'd always just beeline for that, especially during Halloween. AMC had their like horror fest or whatever, and I would just gobble that up.
I saw it the once, and I had like the same reaction to it that I did, I think, Inception. So there are 2 movies that everyone's like, man, you got to see it a couple times. You know, it's like a lot's going on. It's a bit confusing, but you got to see it a couple times. Both of those movies I watched, I went, nah, I think I get it enough. I don't need to see this movie again.
Yeah.
Or like, I don't think I was even that mean about it. Like, I don't need to see this movie again. I just went, oh, okay, and I just have never thought about it again.
Yeah. Inception really didn't tickle no itch for me. I'll say that. I will say that. I don't think it's a bad one, but it tickled no itch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what makes me so mad about Inception? The same guys probably who saw Fight Club and started beating the shit out of their friends are the same guys that go, okay, well, if you look at the trajectory of the top at the end when it's spinning, it clearly is going to fall over. So that's like That's not the point. The point is you don't know if it does or not because it doesn't
Yeah.
matter because he doesn't care.
Yeah.
I hate people so much.
Fair enough.
Let's not talk about Inception ever again, okay?
Okay. Donnie Darko, first of all, I think these are also both movies. They came out in such similar times that there was some backlash about the plane stuff.
I don't know.
At least Donnie Darko. I think it was delayed a little while, or they edited some stuff out, or whatever. I don't know.
That would make sense.
Something like that.
Yeah, I think we talked about it with Final Destination. Fight Club and Final Destination were that perfect sweet spot where movie effects were getting so good, but 9/11 hadn't happened yet, so we had two really good plane crashes.
We were obsessed with doing plane shit right before that 9/11 happened.
So absolutely.
Because this is, again, a movie that came out in September of 2021. Maybe, like, look it up. Is it September 28th? September 13th? What is it? Those are my two guesses. Tell me how close I am.
Donald Darko.
Or is it October? It's like October 5th or something.
It was at Sundance January 19th, and it came out in October 2001.
October 2001.
So that's
Damn.
next month. Yeah, fuck.
Yeah. So, yeah, I got pushed a little bit.
Yeah.
But anyways, right off
Dude,
the
wild. Didn't even plan it out. It's September 12th right now while we're recording this. Gone.
Whoa. Crazy also to just mention that the font they fucking chose for this thing. When you open on the hill and he's like slept walk there and it's just as Donald Darko and like whatever Sanskrit.
Oh,
like,
yeah,
fucking,
yeah.
Like,
yeah. I totally
just
forgot about that.
Nuts.
Crazy, yeah.
Insane. Bad choice.
But again, you have to watch it like it's 2001. You see that and you go, whoa, I've never seen such a cool font.
But that's the weird thing about this movie is it's such a hodgepodge. I don't want to sound like the most pretentious person in the world. It's something I've read online, obviously. But I can feel it, and you can too. I really don't think it's that like deep of a cut. I think it's a very shallow take. Is just that like this was the director Richard Kelly's like first movie out of film school,
Yeah,
and I
fuck
think
him.
it's so obvious.
Fuck them.
It's so obvious.
It makes me so mad.
Yeah,
I have it written down in my notes. Just this period of time in like the 90s and the early 2000s where they would just find a 25-year-old kid out of film school and go,
the
"Here's millions and
Miramax,
millions of dollars."
the Miramax Kevin Smith effect, just
exactly.
like
Just make a
Quentin
movie.
Tarantino, just like find an autistic white dude and give him $3 million to make
Or
a movie.
Paul Thomas Anderson making Boogie Nights when he was 26. That's fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
And granted, I think Paul Thomas Anderson has like pretty connected parents, but still, he made Boogie Nights when he was 26, and I hate him for it.
But I mean, maybe you have a couple in mind, but there's just a couple of things that I saw when I was in like media arts classes, you know, making short films and stuff with friends, or like asked to act in like short films, or whatever. There are like just some like cliche shit you do in film school things that happen in this movie, like how often Donnie Darko just looks at the camera and then like creepily slowly smiles.
Yeah.
Like that's just a staple of like, for some reason, like film school kids love that in their short script.
Yep.
They find that so cool, so creepy, so whatever. Never good. Not in this movie also.
Yeah.
But at the same time, the thing is the other thing that's crazy is this fucking soundtrack beats insane amounts of ass.
It's ridiculous.
It whips ass.
Oh, up and down.
Yeah.
The street,
Everybody was kung fu fighting style. This was hugely influential in developing my taste in music and stuff. Just knocked me on the socks. I mean, this is probably the first time I ever heard Joy Division.
Yeah.
You know, there's Tears for Fears in here. There's that not good. All around me are familiar faces.
Oh,
Don't like that. Not down with that. That's probably the blemish. But it is also like, I think I described it to you when we were watching it as like, this was like my gateway drug into like something like for lack of a better way of putting it, like Lynchian.
Yeah.
Especially like at the end, like, you know, he's died and everybody doesn't really know that he's died, but they all wake up crying.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's like so Laura Palmer-ish. You know what I'm saying? Like just stuff like that. Like there's just so many little things like, you know, or just like the things with like the bunny showing up and him being like, you know, like just saying 28 days, the yada yada yada, whatever, is like something that would happen in a Lynch film where like a character would show up wearing something weird and be like, all of her clothes are backwards. All of her clothes are backwards. And then they leave.
Exactly.
You know, yeah. And, you know, obviously the 80s thing, I was bricked for the 80s.
That makes no sense to me that this movie is set. Why is this movie
I
set
think
in
it's
the
just
80s?
because of his childhood. You know, like, again, he's a
Okay.
film school
That's
kid.
right.
He's just
His
writing.
childhood was 11 years ago or something.
Yeah, exactly. He's just writing about, you know, I think he grew up in Virginia. This is set in the fictional town of Middlesex, Virginia.
Okay.
I do like all that stuff a lot.
Oh?
I like the high school, the teachers Drew Barrymore can be a little cringe, but again, she's a high school English teacher.
Yeah.
It's on brand. But yeah, just the kids. Like, I know it's a little cheesy, the fucking doing a bump of coke in the hallway, but I do have to say that shot where it like starts sideways or whatever, and then as the back of the fucking school bus opens, it just in slow motion corrects itself, and then Tears for Fears starts like dong dong gong gong gong, and then they follow everybody in, and it's one long Boogie Nights-esque shot.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's got to be the crown jewel in terms of shots in this thing. That's probably the big one.
Probably, yeah.
What to do me with you alone.
Something I really like about this movie that you reminded me of with Drew Barrymore
Sure.
is most of the adults in this movie, like, his parents are wealthy.
Mm-hmm.
He's pretty set, like, he's got a good home life.
Yeah.
And his parents are there for him. They're
Yeah.
always home. They eat dinner together
Yeah.
every single night, but they are still arguably bad parents.
Yeah.
Like, they just don't really listen to him.
Yeah.
And
It's from
like-
that era where parents just didn't understand, man.
And Drew Barrymore is like an English teacher that cares about her students all the
Yeah.
time, but also just is not speaking to these kids in a correct manner.
Yeah.
And that's same with his parents. It's just it's very, very I don't know what it's very, but I liked it quite a bit.
Yeah, I just think it was I think it was a realistic thing. Again, this is all conjecture. I'm basing this off of my fucking menial understanding of the decade because I was literally 4 years old by the time it was over. But just from things I've seen, I've read, documentaries, fucking sitcoms and stuff like that, I think that there was like a lost youthy thing where like there was an upper middle class white, like exactly what you're talking about, disconnect, where the parents aren't necessarily bad, but there's just like such a cultural divide. Like,
Yeah.
you know, I'm sure there's a degree to which like, you know, like I feel like I'm closer to my parents than a lot of people are fortunate enough to be in my generation. But like, even especially compared to how close, like I say my dad was at my age with his dad and mom,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I mean? Just because like, you know, it's, you know, they grew up in a time where like, it's like, yep, you get married at 21 and by 25 you have your 3 kids and you've bought your house and you have your job that's just on lock and you do that, you know. And obviously my dad grew up in a time where they were like Rage Against the Machine, baby. Green Day's on the radio. You know, fucking Woodstock 2 is on fire. You know, whatever. Yeah. So I'm sure, you know, again, like I said, like that's kind of like, you know, another, you know, the kind of what's going on in this thing where it's like, are they bad parents? No, but there's just such a big cultural divide that there's like just this membrane that can't be.
And like even Drew Barrymore, who is arguably closer, that divide is smaller between her and the kids. It's still just there.
Yeah. But I even like the science teacher, you know.
Yeah.
He's the one that hangs out and tries to tell him about time travel or whatever. I think his friends are funny. I mean, they're pieces of shit and they're dicks or whatever, but like everybody is when they're a teenager. Mm-hmm. You know, but just like it's good shit, isn't it? When they're smoking the cigarette, he's like, it's a fucking cigarette.
Yeah.
But later on, when like the old lady's checking the mailbox or whatever, and he's like, oh, wait, we may still have mail. It's a funny line. I think about it all the time. I really do. And then I think they're talking about like what, fucking Smurfette or whatever. And then you know, he goes on like an Eric Foreman rant. He does that a lot in this movie. That's another thing that I feel like is very like film school. Like you grew up thinking you're an artist and you haven't had that like bubble burst that you're not Paul Thomas Anderson yet. And so you just like, because like I know that again, like I said, I feel like he's basing it off of his childhood. He's a first time filmmaker. So obviously Donnie is probably very close to who he was and he's identifying much with his character. And again, I'm not an expert, and I know this might sound pretentious, but like I have written stories before. You do that with your main character.
Yeah.
A lot of the times, your main character, I think until you get a couple stories under your belt. I mean, even Stephen King does it to this day. So many fucking of his stories are like, and the main character is a slightly handsome cigarette-smoking author who's moved to a small town and immediately falls in love with a woman.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It just fucking happens. That's what writers do. But anyways, so yeah, he goes on these long rants where he's like, you just don't understand. He's foaming at the mouth like Dan Harmon, like, you don't understand the Smurfs. What cartoon were you watching? You know?
I think this one's dead in the middle. I think you're right. The best version of it is like a Paul Thomas Anderson. Somebody's going off about something, or a Tarantino movie where someone's going off about something that doesn't matter. Exactly.
It's a great rant.
It's just it's one of those things that clearly the writer has been thinking about this, but has nowhere to express it, so it's going in this movie, and it's interesting and it's well written. And in the middle is Donnie Darko complaining about the Smurfs, and I think the bad end of it is Jay and Silent Bob getting picked up by the Scooby-Doo gang because Kevin Smith just has some shit he'd like to say about Scooby-Doo in the middle of this movie.
Although I will say, and one day I would love to do it for the podcast, so I'm probably with my brother Donald. as a guest. I love Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. I'm not gonna lie to you, so fucking funny.
I think I've seen it once decades ago.
God, it's so funny. Like even down to little shit, like there's a running gag throughout the thing that like Jay and Silent Bob don't know what the internet is.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
So they get access to a free, little internet terminal, and people are talking shit about them online. They hate this, right? And so they decide to respond to the internet haters.
Mm-hmm.
And so Jay, just this line, Jay goes, "Hey, yo, Silent Bob, type this shit down real quick." And just because like they don't know what the internet is, so instead of saying writing it down, they say type this down.
Yeah,
It's just like just little shit like that gets me, and I think about it all the fucking time.
Dude, today at work, this didn't happen to
Type
me.
this shit down.
Somebody was telling me about it. I saw this customer in the shop. The way the shop works is it's small, but there's a big warehouse behind it. So if what you want isn't in the store, we have a little kiosk that's just a computer with our website. Feel free to go through there. If you see something you like, let me know. I'll go get it for you.
Sure.
This guy wanted to see all of the stickers that we have. So the person who was up there pulled it up on the computer and went, "Here, you can look through here and find a sticker." And this guy, who is maybe a little older than me, took the mouse and threw it towards that and went, "I don't know how to use this shit." And they thought he was joking, so I give it back to him. He goes, he was like clicking with like the scroll wheel and stuff like that, like didn't know how to use a computer.
Do you think it was just a bit?
No, because this person had to teach him how to use a computer.
That's so good. I want to start doing that. I hope I have the opportunity to do that in my lifetime.
Yeah, like he just
As a bit. It's so funny.
He somehow just opened like a million tabs.
Sure. Yeah.
And
I'm sure this man is for real, but now I want to steal that bit.
yeah.
Because that's really funny.
It ended
to
up
just
with,
start smashing the scroll button and be like, I don't know how this works.
Yeah.
It's like I think you should leave levels of
it's
funny.
bonkers, yeah. And he he made the person behind the counter go through page by page for him while he looked and went, "I like that one. I like that one."
That's awesome. That rocks.
The computer is also a touchscreen. I was like, "Did you tell him it's a touchscreen?" They're like, "No, I thought that might confuse him more, and I didn't want to make the situation worse."
Yeah, he faints. He just can't wrap his head around it. But anyways, taking it back let's take it maybe to some things I also like about this. I love. Oh, hey, we've got motorcycle neighbors again. So, is it like a seasonal thing? Is like fall just motorcycle season?
You know it's against the law to try and make your motorcycle
Louder.
quieter?
Oh, quieter? Really? Mm-hmm. That's crazy. Is it
it's
dangerous? Could it like explode or something?
Yeah, you could really fuck it up, yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, things I like about this. Patrick Swayze is here. I love Patrick Swayze as an actor.
Patrick Swayze is great. Something that I really don't like about this movie and other movies, and it doesn't really happen anymore, which I'm very thankful of.
Yeah.
The first scene with Patrick Swayze on the golf course, they're talking yada, yada, yada. It cuts to the wide shot of all of them on the golf course. And they're very far away, but the dialogue is still just as loud as if they were right in front of you.
Yeah.
And it's so clearly just 80 yard, but they're so far away, and the dialogue's so loud. I just don't like it. I just don't like
fair
it.
enough.
It's a pet peeve.
I would say something that's kind of cringy for me. I get it because again, it's on brand. I don't think that it's inappropriate, and it's fine in the movie. It's just a little tough to watch now that I'm an adult. Is the whole like the lifeline love and hate thing, like, or love and fear, when like Donnie Darko is like, life is so much more complex than that. There's so much more context.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, everybody gets that, but like it's a self-help thing. So it's like making it as simple as possible for people to just wrap their head around that. And then you can work out from there. Here's a perfect example. What Grant Morrison does with Two-Face in Arkham Asylum is he works him off of the coin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you start very simple. You want to start with the coin, but then you want to slowly introduce complexity. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if someone wants to get a handle back in their life and they're going the self-help route, obviously as a self-help artist, the first thing you do is you make it as simple as possible. Mm-hmm. So that's all I'm saying is like,
yeah.
I think even it's like a Holden from Catcher in the Rye situation where I think he's walking around being like, everybody's a phony, but in 10 years he's going to cringe about the stuff that he was going on rants about and just be like, oh, okay. So maybe I wasn't paying attention to the context that I was claiming they weren't. Oh, you know what I mean? Like,
yes, and it feels like the movie thinks Donald Darko is cool for what he's doing.
For sure.
And it's very much so like...
Donald Darko is the bomb.
Parents just don't understand.
Sure.
Teachers just don't understand.
Yeah, like he calls his mom a bitch at one point.
Yeah.
But it's good, like I said, because it's all on brand. This is a
Yes.
teenage boy, a type of teenage boy that is out there, for sure.
Absolutely, but I think like a much more subtle, nuanced version of that is in this movie, which is he's a boy who is very, very mentally ill.
Yes.
And his parents legitimately just don't understand.
Yeah.
And he doesn't need to go on fucking rants about love and hate to his teacher
Sure.
for that to come across.
Sure.
And again, like we said, the kid who made this is 19 years old or whatever.
Yeah.
So I'm giving
Yeah.
it a pass, but it's a little, like you said.
As well
it
as
doesn't age
Patrick
too well.
Swayze. We
Yes.
got Ashley Tisdale here. We have
That's right.
Seth Rogen here. We have Crazy Steve here.
Yes, we do.
Spencer. What's his name?
Jerry Trainer.
Jerry Trainer. And what else? If we're going,
Hot take.
but
I
yeah.
think Jerry Trainer deserved better.
Yeah.
I think Jerry
For
Trainer
sure.
should currently be in movies.
Yeah, but it's
I like
also one of
him
those
quite a
things
bit.
like Matthew Lillard where also he's probably happy with what he's got.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, just in the sense of, like, I feel like they're both guys that, like I get the sense from Matthew Lillard that he's like, yeah, I make these card games now, and that's beat ass.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like
I
that-
don't feel like he's a guy who sits around thinking, like, I could have got that Oscar. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
exactly. But I think the big three for me are Jerry Trainer, Matthew Lillard, and Sean William Scott.
Yeah.
Where is he? What
Yeah.
happened to him?
Yeah.
I feel like him, and not so much Jerry Trainer because he's a Nickelodeon star, but him, Sean William Scott, and Matthew Lillard should and hopefully might get like a Brendan Fraser type deal.
Yeah.
Where like in 10 years we'll all
Well, it's
go,
interesting
you know what?
because Sean William Scott did kind of. He had, like, the thing where his, like, career fizzled out because of shit like Cop Out. And then Goon happened. Everybody was like, whoa, Sean William Scott can do, like, a cool thing. And then it fizzled out again.
Yeah, strange.
But anyways, yeah, on a side note, it's not exactly the same, but I also really, really, really gotta say I love Seth Green. I find him to be so funny.
Rogan.
No, Seth Green.
Seth Green did this movie?
No, I'm just talking about, like...
Oh, in general?
Yeah, in general.
Yeah, okay.
I find him to be so funny.
I
Like-
don't mind Seth Green, yeah.
I was just watching this clip from Sex Drive, where he plays an Amish guy who knows cars and he fixes the cars for him or whatever.
Yeah, but whatever you do, whatever you say, Spaceman,
Yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
Yeah, but he's like, oh, cool, so we're even? He's like, yeah, your car broke down and I fixed it for free, so I'd say we're about dead even, yeah. And he's like, okay, cool, so we're good. Or he's like, yeah, I mean, I think any way you look at this situation, I fixed your shit for free, and so you're about to take off, and that sounds about good to me. Yeah, I think we're good. And he's like, I can't tell if you're fucking with me, man. And he's like, fuck with you? Why would I fuck with you? We just had a nice transaction where I fixed your shit for, just like another thing.
Yeah,
Like, he
yeah,
just
yeah.
keeps like hammering it home and like. And, same thing with, like, even just Austin Powers, where he's like, Dr. Evil's like, and then I will do this, to Austin. He's like, Dad, I have a gun in my room. I can go get it.
Yeah.
And then we'll kill him together. We can do that. But I've always found Seth Green to be so funny. Yeah. Anyways, that was a total sidebar.
Flowers to Seth Green.
Flowers to Seth Green, indeed. Yeah. Also, he voices fucking fucking Batman Beyond's name is Terry McGinnis, and he dates Dana. And Dana is friends with, I can't remember, but her best friend dates the jock, whose name is, I can't remember, but he's voiced by Seth Green.
Oh, okay.
Anyways.
All I could think about was Static Shock's friend who dresses it all green with the
I think his name's
robot
Troy.
backpack. Okay, Troy.
But anyways, I don't remember that. I don't remember Static Shock that much. I mean, I watched it for sure, but I don't remember it. Anyways, back to the movie. Another thing I love, if we're to talk about, in my opinion, best scene, I always think of the, like, midnight showing of Evil Dead that they go to, and she falls asleep during it, which... I say this in full humility and with complete self-awareness.
Okay. Can't
Understand
wait.
this.
Can't wait.
Yeah, girlfriends love sleeping through Evil Dead.
Absolutely.
I understand that makes me the loser,
Yeah.
but girlfriends love sleeping through Evil Dead.
That's yeah.
So anyways,
If you ever, for whatever reason, write a memoir, it has to be titled "Girlfriends Love Sleeping Through Evil Dead."
yeah, for sure. But I do love that. I love that he slinks off to go burn down the child pornographer Patrick Swayze's house, forever, and everybody finds the child porn and stuff like that. And yeah, I like. It is interesting, to use this as a. I'll ask you about your favorite, and then we'll move on to least favorite in a second. But I have a love-hate relationship with the overall plot of the film because it is a convoluted way of going, and then they woke up.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's a convoluted, like, they were dreaming the whole time thing, because basically there's a million, I'm sure, fucking ways you can interpret this. Whatever. I don't want to get into a conversation about it. The most simple and like grounded way you can look at it is that like there's a main timeline, and there's like what do they call it? Like pinpoint events, like things that are canonical events, like a canonical, right? One of them is that Donnie dies with whatever, and what you're seeing is an unstable tangential timeline. That basically cannot sustain itself because, like, again, the canonical, that canon event didn't happen, right? So it's going to collapse inwardly. And by the end of it, Donnie has to, like, quote-unquote, come to terms with the fact that he has to die or whatever. So, like, by the end of it, when he wakes up and he laughs in bed, it's because, like, he had that, like, for lack of a better term, like, dream or, like, Wizard of Oz experience where he came to that understanding that, like, oh, this has to happen. I have to die here. And he's coming to peace with it, right? That's his, like, come to peace moment or whatever. So we basically explore this alternate universe throughout the runtime of the movie where, like, I guess, like, one thing is to, one way to put it is like, oh, all of the things that could have happened if he, didn't die, like fall in love with that girl or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of it, you see she rides by and she sees the mom, and it's this awkward situation where they stare at each other for a moment, and then she just feels compelled to wave at Donnie's mom, and then Donnie's mom feels compelled to like wave back to her.
Yeah.
But it's also this thing where it's like what if this, like it's almost like the what if everything went fucking just beat ass timeline. You know what I'm saying? Like he just, for whatever reason, the bunny man is like, burn down that house. And he's like, well, I guess I'll do that. And then it turns out, oh, the guy that I fucking loathe is also a huge piece of shit. And I just deflated that whole thing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's very, maybe, thinking about it now, what I was just shitting out of him being like, parents just don't understand. I'm going to go off on this lady in front of this chalkboard.
Yeah.
Could be him just being like, I don't know, emboldened.
Yes.
Because he's in a place he shouldn't be, you know? So he's just like...
It's like a fantasy almost, like legit. He's living out his fantasy. Like, what if I just told everybody off?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but yeah, we don't know exactly what he was like before this movie.
Sure.
I'm sorry, go on.
That was just me wrapping up like my synopsis of like my understanding of the movie to the point of like I don't want to read any more into Donnie Darko.
Yeah.
And I know that is like gotta be like the most foundationally sound reading of it, just based on like the little listening to the director talk and like reading I did when I was a kid. Because I've never been a big fan of the guy that's like, I don't ever want to read more into it too much than I feel like the people who made it put into it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get that.
Which is fine. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
You'll fight yourself. That's what'll happen.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyways, but back to it. Yeah. So favorite scene, like I said, I do like the run off to burn down the house, come back, girlfriend's still sleeping. Didn't see a thing. Because again, perfect cover. If you want to do a crime and you're married or you have a girlfriend, put Evil Dead on. She will fall asleep. You will have an alibi.
You're right.
You'll just say, I was with my sleeping girlfriend watching Evil Dead.
Yeah.
So best scene for you?
I would say, probably I like that one the most because I think it boils down my feelings to the movie in the most concise, like, packaged moment. Or even just the rabbit in general. When like that happens and he just looks over and he sees the rabbit and, whatever, the rabbit's whatever from the future and he's like giving him these and he's just a crazy man who sees a rabbit.
Yeah.
And whenever the rabbit shows up, I'm like, this is fun. This is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then Donnie Darko does that smile thing and I'm like, okay. and he goes, why do you wear that stupid rabbit costume? And he goes, why do you wear that stupid human suit? And
cringe.
I go,
so cringe.
And then he takes the helmet off and he's got a bullet hole through his eye. I'm like, I'm so in. I don't know I want to know why.
Yeah, there's so many things throughout that thing. Like, because like another thing that I find cringe is like you can even hear it in the dialogue if you listen close enough. The old lady whispers in her ear, "Everything on Earth dies alone," or whatever. And then like again, because he's a teenager, I guess he's like so fucking bummed out about that at therapy. That he's like, she told me everyone on Earth dies alone, and it's like almost like a Fight Club thing where it's like, yeah, buddy, I think everybody walks around with that knowledge, and like, it's more sad than dying alone. Just dying, honestly.
Yeah,
I could give a fuck if I'm alone or surrounded by everybody because I'm gonna be dead. It's done. It's over. You know what I'm saying? Like, I couldn't imagine being that bummed out, like just walking around being like, I can't believe one day I could die alone. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
like,
Chris, you know what's probably sadder than you dying?
Yeah.
You dying at the exact same time your girlfriend dies. Yeah. But I think the rabbit, the rabbit is the perfect encapsulation of how I feel about this movie. I think I like it. I like the mystery. I want to know what's going on.
Yeah.
I like that it's a guy in a rabbit suit and you don't know why. The mask, way too overdesigned.
Yeah, I think so.
And
They like went like Tim Burton with it when like the rest of the movie is totally grounded and normal looking.
Yeah, and
It's weird. I wish they would have just gone with like a normal ass bunny almost.
yeah.
But you'd obviously have to pick the right one because it could look tacky or out of place if it was too cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or
whatever.
if when he sees the real guy at the end before he shoots him, he's got a normal rabbit mask.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Or no, I like it better that it's 1-to-1. But
I do like when he finally shows up for sure.
mm-hmm.
And yeah, Donnie's got the gun. I like that earlier he was led to the gun. There are like puzzle pieces that fit together, and that's all fun. Like with, the old lady being the one that wrote the book about time travel. Wish we could time travel 4 minutes into. Oh, just a little cutie, just having a little fun.
just hanging out, just playing.
Anyways, I like that it's the old lady that wrote the time travel book or whatever, and then the cellar door thing, and like, later on the night that she dies, like it's the cellar that they go into or whatever at the fucking house or whatever, or something like that, or there's a cellar door there at least or whatever. There's like all these things that like connect in that way, like Frank was the one that ran over his girlfriend, yada yada yada, the bullet in the eye. That is all fun to piece together for sure.
I would say my least favorite part of this movie is every time it cuts back to him driving around with his girlfriend's dead body in the passenger seat.
Oh yeah,
Really gets me.
yeah.
And my favorite scene is tied with either the movie theater or when he sees all the tubes coming out of everybody and he puts his head in one and his eyes get all big. That was my favorite.
Yeah. I would say least favorite, like I said, again, I'm not like, it's just the cringy stuff, like the scene where he's like just taking Patrick Swayze to task in front of everybody, and Patrick Swayze just being like, "This is a sad boy who's lacking direction," or whatever, and he's like, "You're a fuck ass," and stuff, whatever, because you believe in society and love and fear.
I remember that scene being way cooler because I just remember the sting at the end. And frankly, I think you're the fucking Antichrist.
Yeah.
But there's no real lead up to that. He just
No.
kind of babbles and then says, "I think
Yeah.
you're the Antichrist."
Yeah,
And,
which is fine. Like I said, it's a really real like depiction of how like a teenager would try to slam.
true. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it wouldn't be successful, and it would be honestly like more cringe if he did successfully slam. You know what I'm saying? Because that would really be like a fantasy where it's like no teenager's about to slam that hard. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's fine, but that's what I'm saying. Like it's just cringe. It's cringe.
It's why I can't.
But I don't hate it. Is all I'm trying to say.
I can't make up my mind on this movie because I can't.
You can't separate the cringe from the genius.
I can't.
Not genius isn't like awe-inspiring. I just mean like the good from the bad, I guess, whatever.
What's his name?
Richard Kelly.
I can't wrap my mind around where Richard Kelly is coming from.
Okay.
Because it could be what you're saying. Yeah, this is how a teenage boy would do this, and he's not.
Or if he still thinks it's beat ass.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or if he's too young to realize that what
It's
he's
not
doing,
BS.
like he really thinks it's because it's
Because it's the 90s.
yeah, it's like what we were saying about Fight Club. Like, there's a lot of people who see Fight Club and go, "Man, those guys are so cool." There's a lot of people who see Donnie Darko and go, "Donnie Darko's so cool. Everything he says is so cool." And so I can't tell if, like Fight Club, the movie's like, he's kind of the cock, Donnie Darko, or if it's like, nah, he's the coolest of all of us.
Yeah. So yeah, wrapping it up. Do you have any closing thoughts about Donnie Darko? Mine really just come down to I do like kind of some of the surreal stuff, I like Jake Gyllenhaal and Jenna Malone. Jenna Malone was also in a movie I loved growing up called Dangerous Lives of Altar Boys or whatever, with some cartoon work from Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah. You're making me watch that forever ago.
Yeah, and Seth MacFarlane, right?
That's Family Guy.
Yeah,
Todd McFarlane.
Todd McFarlane, my bad. Some cartoon work from Todd McFarlane, Spawn, Image Comics, etc., etc. Patrick Swayze, like I said, Drew Barrymore. Drew Barrymore was a huge proponent of this movie, from what I understand. She was a big reason why it got made. She liked the project, really supported, championed it. And then also, like I said, that soundtrack goes crazy. So I think at the end of the day, I'm putting it in the same range as Fight Club, but just slightly higher because I'm biased, a B+. Just one tier up.
I have written down in my notes, opening shot, pretty good. Don't remember what it is.
It's him sleeping on the road, and they zoom in on him, and then they twirl around him as he's like waking up.
Okay,
and he looks at the camera, and he does do that smile thing, which, God, stop smiling at the camera. And then it goes Donnie Darko. But I don't know if that's what you're talking about, because it is kind of moody. They like really do score it up. The shot of the valley is nice. I do like that. I do like starting there with like having him sleptwalk to like the top of town, and you kind of get like it's kind of like an establishing shot. Like you get in my recollection of it, I feel like you get acquainted to this small town in a valley or whatever.
Yeah.
But then after it, he hops on the bike and it's like down.
Yeah.
Dig it down, and that's fun. I like him biking in, and his mom's reading it, and his dad's like spraying his sister a little bit, which Maggie Gyllenhaal is also here.
Yeah, that's fun. I think it's very fun. His sister is
actual
his sister,
siblings. Yeah, great. Obviously, there's the iconic scene where he's like, "You can go suck a fuck," and he's like, "Tell me, Elizabeth, how does one suck a fuck? You know, you're such a cock ass, or whatever, fuck ass, or whatever." And then the little girl at the end of the scene going, "What's a fuck ass?"
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess I like that opening shot. Soundtrack rips.
Yeah.
I love his outfit at the end of the movie, just like an older teenage kid on Halloween. Just the skeleton
actually,
with the hoodie over it rips.
Yeah, I know.
So much ass.
Craig went as that one year.
Yeah.
Yeah. The skeleton thing with the gray sweatshirt over it. Yeah.
But yeah, I just something about this movie just doesn't really connect with me, and
For
I
sure.
don't know why.
Yeah.
But I don't want to say it's a bad movie, and I don't want to give it a low grade, but I don't want to give it too high of a grade because I didn't really get that much out of it. But also, I had a good conversation with you about it right here, and I'm gonna give it a no plus, no minus, right in the middle C.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me write that down for later. Well, we talked about it a lot in the intro. What's coming hot down the pipe is a steaming pile of Nightmare on Elm Street and Nightmare on Elm Street 2. I think that one's just called like Freddy's Revenge or some shit, or who knows. Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Still Dreaming. Except this one's a bad one. As in the dream, not the movie. It's a spooky one. So, yeah, that'll be, 2 weeks from when you're hearing this.
Okay.
That'll drop. And then for Halloween, as is tradition, we'll be doing the entire series, whatever, trying to do like 2 episodes a week or whatever. So basically, yeah, expect weekly episodes. And also we will definitely be doing Freddy vs. Jason again.
Can't wait.
I'm lamenting that. That's not the biggest fan. Donnie's got to be bricked.
I was
friend
gonna
of the
say,
show, Donnie.
Got to get Donnie on. Not Darko.
Fan.
Whatever his last name is.
White.
That's the opposite of dark.
It is.
Oh, well.
Wow. Nuts. And that's about what I got. I think that's about that, Mattress Man.
If you need more soup, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, or go to our website, eatingsoupalone.com. And until next time,